Ultimately, this video is gonna be just about symptoms, indications and signs that I experienced, the reason why I had suspicions that I was pregnant with twins, and things like that. I might, touch on some other things. I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's all we're doing. I know it's been a while. Like I'm 10 weeks already, and I really wanted to start making videos at 8-9 weeks. So I could remember everything, and so I didn't have to make a super long video about all the symptoms that indicated or should have indicated that I was having twins. But also I wanted to start sharing my experience after finding out that I had that I was having twins, and how the symptoms progressed, got worse, and just how every week is something different or new. So I really wanted to keep you guys updated weekly. Unfortunately, with my schedule, my little ones, I just have not been able to do that. And because of how bad I've been feeling, I have been unable to do that. But here I am, finally doing it. Let's pray that I can get through this video. Okay, so with symptoms as far as before pregnancy, well, before I found out that I was pregnant, period. Not before pregnancy, sorry. So basically, I keep track of my cycle very thoroughly. I just want to put that out because I'm going to tell you, like, I knew when I ovulated, and I knew that it was a week after I had ovulated and conceived, unknowingly, that I started actually experiencing symptoms. I started experiencing symptoms that quick. Like, I had only technically been pregnant a week, and there was no way of me knowing that I was pregnant, but I was already experiencing symptoms. So I was saying, like, I've always been really good at keeping track of my ovulation and my cycle, and been really good at preventative measures. So we really have no idea how this happened, to be honest. And let alone, like, we have no idea how we got pregnant, let alone, now we have two that, are growing. But let's get started about the symptoms. So, like I said, 1 week after I had conceived, unknowingly, I had my first really bad fatigue spell. That quick. Normally, symptoms of pregnancy don't really arise until later in the first trimester, sometimes early, but definitely not a week after you conceived. Typically there might be like an implantation bleeding or a little bit of pain there, but this was, like I said, my first fatigue spell. Sorry that real quick, I want to say sorry that I keep breathing a lot. I've been out of breath really bad this week, and I'm thinking it's probably just gonna get worse as the pregnancy progresses. But yeah, I'm already out of breath. Hard to, walk fast, keep up with my kids, things like that now. But this is for later on. I'll talk about. But right now, early symptoms before I discovered I was pregnant were fatigue that was so bad I just shut down. Like, I'd sit on the couch and I'd be out, and I knew something was off and wrong, and I kept telling my husband, something is not right. Like, I'm not okay. I don't understand why I go from 1 week being completely active. I was drained. My whole body wanted to shut down. My mind wanted to shut down. I would sit down, and before I knew it, I was waking up to my kids going crazy. And even then, it was so hard to get up. I remember, once again, it was before I found out I was pregnant. I had gone to Starbucks and I got a double espresso, and I just drank that straight, and went home because we had just went to a doctor's appointment for my daughter's 1 year checkup, because she's only one and I was already pregnant, for my 1 year checkup. And I was so tired, and I was like, well, I'm gonna stop by Starbucks on the way home and get two double shot of espresso. And I did, and I drank it, and I came home, both girls fell asleep in the car, put them both down for a nap, and I crashed. I could not help it. Like, I remember putting them both in bed and just going to the bedroom and just hitting the bed, and then waking up a couple hours later when I heard my youngest in her room playing. So I knew she was up. So I was already experiencing pretty severe fatigue, because I was just, I mean, I don't know how else to explain it other than I just shut down. Like, I could not function. Everything stopped. And so I thought that was really strange, because I had just drank double shot of espresso. Normally one thing of espresso is enough for me to be energized and carry out my tasks that I have throughout the day and be just fine. So I knew something was up. The fatigue was a little bit more than I could explain ultimately. And I mean, when I tried, like, it was enough to where normally I don't complain. I don't really talk about if I'm, hurting or experiencing something weird. I really don't talk to my husband about it all that much. But with this, I was telling him, I was like, I think I might have to go to the doctor because something I think is wrong with me. I'm really fatigued. And that was another thing before I found out I was pregnant. And I found out really early. So these symptoms were happening very early on. I started having migraine, headaches, and they weren't frequent. Like, I think I only had 2 before I found out I was pregnant, but they were so bad. Normally I can get a headache and I could take, like, I don't even take medicine. I just wait for it to pass. I just tough it out because I really don't like taking pills. I just have a thing with, like, throwing up, and I have a thing about swallowing pills. It's really hard for me to do. And then, so I never really take medicine, but this was bad enough to where I was taking Tylenol, which, for me is bad because I have, like, a really high pain tolerance. I thought something was in my hair. I'll try and speed up my talking a little bit so we're not dragging this video on for a long time. So more symptoms. Okay, that was, also last symptom before I found out, or 2 last symptoms before I found out I was pregnant. One is I started urinating a lot, and the urgency was severe. Like, I at one point, I remember one day specifically because I could not get off the toilet. It was like every 5 minutes I was going to the bathroom, having to pee. And yeah, I was drinking a lot of water. Well, not a lot. I would say about, like, 2 bottles of water, which is a lot for me because, like, I really don't take care of myself unless I'm pregnant. When I'm pregnant, I, like, crave water. But when I'm just me, I drink a lot of coffee, a lot of, I'll drink a little bit of water. Like I said, about 2 bottles a day. But I mean, it's not my first choice. So I was drinking about 2, maybe close to 3 bottles of water a day. And so I was peeing a lot, but I was peeing a lot more than average. And it was to the point, at one point, it was to the point where I was like every 5 minutes having to go to the bathroom. I was like, why even get up? And I thought that was strange. I thought maybe I had a UTI, but the urgency really wasn't that bad, like a UTI kind of urgency. It was just like, I know I had to go. So I thought that was strange. And then this was, like, once again, all before I found out I was pregnant, very early on, because I think I found out about 4 weeks, close to 5. And so, there was one more. Okay, so this is warning if you have little ones with you. This is getting to the point where it's going to be a little bit, you don't want them to hear. So they're in the room, you might not, just be cautious, okay? So the final thing that was pretty different with this twin pregnancy, and it was before I even found out I was pregnant, once again, very early on, was with intercourse. Immediately after, I was having severe pain. And by severe pain, I mean it. Like, I've had my most recent daughter, which was the heaviest baby I've had. I had her all natural, and let me tell you, that hurt. So I had her completely all natural, no pain medication, no epidural, nothing like that. She did come quick, thankfully, but all natural. And when I say that this pain after intercourse was so severe, it was worse than that. With contractions, even the very, very painful contractions right before, I had her, you're still able to like walk around, you're still coherent, you're still there. And I never screamed. I never, like, this was not something that made me cry. Giving birth, I'm talking about giving birth. Never screamed, never cried. Everything was, it was just, it was bad, but it wasn't so severe, But with this pain that happened after intercourse, I was screaming, I was crying, I was unable to walk without severe pain in my it felt like it was sharp knives stabbing my cervix, which is similar to contractions pain, but it was worse. Like, it was worse than anything I have ever felt in my life. Also pelvic floor. My pelvic floor had a sharp pain. Had a sharp pain with a dull pain as well. It was experiencing both dull and sharp pain. And I remember my stomach feeling like it was cramping and being crushed, and my uterus was cramping, and it felt like there was knives in my stomach, and I could barely breathe. I could not walk without severe pain. I was limping, trying so hard to go to the I couldn't go to the bathroom. Trying to get to the bathroom, I couldn't even go when I got there. It's like my body, like below my waist, just shut down. Like, I could not urinate, nothing. And it was so painful. And I honestly didn't know what it was. I could not believe this was happening. Honestly, I thought it was due to the active intercourse that was causing it, because I was like, there's no other explanation. So that was another symptom that I started experiencing before I even found out I was pregnant. And it was actually that symptom that forced me to make an appointment with the OBGYN, because like, I was in denial when I told my mom about my pain and what I was experiencing. She was like, "Are you sure you're not pregnant?" And I was like, "No, I'm positive I'm not pregnant. Like, I've tracked all that, and we've done every precaution. There's no way that we are pregnant right now." And real quick side note, I guess the only way we could be is, this is more about, more detailed about, process of ovulation and conception. So around my ovulation, I was abstinent. It was the week that I painted our whole house and doors and everything, and I was staying up till like 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I would wake up with the kids and I'd paint all day and all night. So I know for a fact the week of my ovulation I was completely abstinent. And so the only thing I could think of is the week prior, which would have been 5 to 7 days, or probably closer to 7 days, when there was activity. There must have been some type of leak, and that leak stayed in my body for almost 7 days. Normally, sperm can last within, the body like 3 to 5 days. Sometimes it's longer. So that's the only thing, is that there was a leak that we were unaware of, and it lasted a pretty long time in my body, till my point of ovulation, and I got pregnant. So that's the only way that we could, that's the only way it could have happened. So, because like I said, I'm really good about knowing my cycle and everything like that. And I was abstinent the whole week that, the whole like time of my ovulation cycle, definitely 3 to 5 days prior to it. So, sorry, that was like a little side note, apologize. But yeah, my mom was like, "Are you pregnant?" I was like, "No, there's no way possible," right? And sure enough, a couple days later, after I made the appointment, I had not gone yet. My appointment was, I think, the following, it was like on a Monday or Tuesday, and I made that appointment the week before. And it was a couple days after I had that conversation with my mom and made the appointment. because I had talked to her because she had to watch my kids so I can go. I looked at the calendar and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm almost like 5 days late for my period. And I noticed, like, I know I was supposed to have my period at the end of the month, but it was so hectic and crazy with my daughter's birthday. And at the end of the month, my period had been weird ever since I had my daughter. So I know my ovulation schedule down to a T, but my period has always been kind of iffy because I would not bleed the first 3 days of my cycle. I would only spot a little bit when I urinated. So I did spot a little bit, and but it was only once, which I thought was like, that's weird. Normally I spot usually a couple times the first day, I spot a couple times the second day. Third day, like only when I urinate. The third day I will spot outside of urinating, like out of, like, you know, when you go to the bathroom and you wipe and there's blood there, like that's what I mean by like spotting. So the third day is when I start kind of spotting a little bit just on my panty liner, right? So my period has been like that since I had my most recent little baby. And so that's what I was kind of expecting. And when I had that spot, I was like, oh, it's just the beginning of my period. But I didn't spot, and I noticed like, man, I haven't been spotting these last couple days. And my period was supposed to be full on yesterday. And I just hadn't paid attention because, you know, it had been really hectic. We had a lot of things going on between August and September because my daughter's birthdays were back to back. So I had a lot of planning, a lot of things going on, just mentally occupied, right? Turned out, I looked at the calendar and I was late, and I went and got a pregnancy test that night. And sure enough, I found out that I was pregnant. My husband, actually, we both agreed we did not want any more kids, and he took it better than I did. I thought he was gonna freak out, have a panic attack, but I was the one who had a pretty bad panic attack, I'm not gonna lie. Because I was just, I don't know how we're gonna do this. I don't know how my body's gonna go through this again. I was genuinely terrified. And then now with twins, I'm 1,000 times more terrified. My anxiety is pretty high when I think about the whole situation, but it's out of my control. So I'm just gonna take care of myself and take care of the babies. But ultimately, I found out I was pregnant. I went to my appointment, and when I went, they confirmed my pregnancy. And that's actually when, because I initially scheduled it for a well visit for my pain. And when I brought that up, they kind of dismissed it as just sensitivity of my uterus because of my sequential pregnancies being back to back to back, and this being my fourth pregnancy. And I've ultimately had like 4 pregnancies in 4 years. So they just dismissed it as sensitivity. I, however, knew that was not the case. I went back home and I attempted intercourse again, and it was just as severe. And when I talk about like I couldn't walk the following day either. After intercourse, the pain lasted throughout the night, and it got worse. It would start after intercourse, and it got worse throughout the night, and I would, by the morning it would be better, but I still had trouble bending down, walking without severe pain. So it was something that was really affecting me, and I was terrified that now that I found out I was pregnant, and if this is due to the pregnancy, what if I have to remain abstinent throughout my whole pregnancy? So I was terrified about that. And so I called the doctor, and I really tried to my best to explain my symptoms thoroughly. And he asked a lot of in-depth questions about when the pain was occurring and about the whole process of intercourse. But I'm glad that he did, because he was able to determine that I was actually having pelvic floor spasms, which I would not wish on anybody because they're horrible. But that's what was happening. Okay, aside from the symptoms that we've already talked about, I started experiencing more dizziness after I found out that I was having pelvic spasms. I really just refrained from intercourse for a little bit. And I started getting really dizzy around that time after I found out, what was going on. And after, settling with the idea that I was pregnant, the fatigue got a lot worse. That's when the nausea started, and that's when the dizziness started. And when the nausea, like, I've never had nausea previous pregnancies, like no nausea, no vomiting, unless I just took my prenatals on an empty stomach or I didn't eat. I would get really nauseous, but that was the only time. But this nausea for this pregnancy, it was more severe for me because I had never really experienced anything like this. And it was like I woke up with really, really, really bad nausea where I couldn't eat anything because everything made me want to barf, but I physically couldn't. Like, I would try and sit by the toilet and try and barf. Okay, I should say vomit because barf sounds so gross. But I would try and vomit and I could not. Like, I physically could not. So I was suffering with nausea from the morning to the nighttime, from just about the moment I woke up to the time I went to bed. So that was another symptom that was kind of an indication to me that I was having twins, because the nausea was just so intense. It made me, like, when I stood up, I felt queasy and dizzy from nausea on top of being dizzy, period, from the hormones. And just nothing helped. I know so many people were being so kind and trying to give me advice on what to take, like ginger, peppermint. What were some of the, I tried a lot of stuff. I tried ginger tea, peppermint, some little, they're like candies, they're like ginger candies. They actually don't even taste like ginger that much. They have like different flavors to them. I forgot what they're called. They're like Prego Pops or something like that. And I tried those and nothing was successful. Nothing would work. And the saltine crackers. I did that daily and it did not help. Actually, a lot of pregnancy nausea, when you eat, the nausea will subside. But when I ate, it's almost like it got worse. It was better to be like nauseous on an empty stomach and have that kind of nausea than to eat, because then I got so much more nauseous and I wanted to vomit so badly, but I physically couldn't. I would sit there and try and make myself just by like sitting over the toilet and think about things that like gross me out to try and get myself to vomit, but it didn't work. Or I would really focus on like my nausea and I would just do it, and I could not do it. So that was really, really bad for me after I found out I was pregnant, and after I found out about the pelvic spasms and everything. So I was just suffering all the way around, more so than I have ever, even at the end of my last pregnancy. And at the end of my third pregnancy, I was miserable. And like now, the time I'm talking about, I was only like I was 6 to 7 weeks, and I was suffering so much. So I was terrified for the weeks to come. But finally, at almost 8 weeks, a day from 8 weeks, I had an ultrasound, and it confirmed that I was having twins. And I remember being in shock, because I was in denial. I was like, no way that could be me. But I was almost kind of like, I knew it. Like, I should have just stuck with my gut, because these symptoms were so out of the ordinary for me. And even though I could not find other women experiencing these same symptoms, I knew that they were symptoms for me, like I was probably having twins. So I really had the suspicion, and it was confirmed with my ultrasound, and they were fraternal, because I'm carrying fraternal twins. Because when your mom has the gene, or it's hereditary, like if she drops 2 eggs, she can pass that down to her daughter. It's really twins aren't really genetic through mom to son, but mom to daughter. On the I'm the mom, so on the mom side, it can be passed down in genetic. And I dropped 2 eggs, and they both were fertilized somehow, and I got pregnant with twins. and they were very healthy when we went, so that was really exciting. I was actually terrified. And that's another thing with pregnancy that I wanted to talk about. This really doesn't go in line with symptoms, but it is something that once you find out you have twins, you start having just this huge fear. And it like, I think about it daily and almost all day long daily, because it's just so scary, and there's so much more to having twins than just having a single baby, because you fear losing one, the fear of losing one, and not knowing it. It's called vanishing twin syndrome. It's just like my biggest fear, and that's all I can think about a lot of the time. Am I eating enough? Am I doing enough? If, you know, did I lose one on days that I feel good and I'm not as nauseous? I'm worried, like, did I lose a twin? And the anxiety is really high there. I've had like probably 2 breakdowns as far as like that goes, because it's terrifying. There's so many stories of people losing a twin, and the reason why I feel like I'm more prone to be afraid is because my mom miscarried her first set of twins, and then her second set of fraternal twins, she didn't even know she was having twins throughout the whole pregnancy. But when she delivered my brother Kyle, who was supposed to be a twin, they found an extra sac and signs of a vanishing twin early on that she had never known about. So my brother Kyle had a vanishing twin. So just my mom's bad luck with twins, and knowing that it's hereditary, I would like the dropping of 2 eggs is hereditary. I just kind of have this like shadow over me telling me like, what if your twin, you know, pregnancy doesn't work out because, you know, your mom's hasn't. But I know I should not think like that. That is not good to be thinking about. So I've been trying to stay really positive. With twin pregnancies, I also wanted to give the information that you do have to take more than just your prenatal. You have to take twice as much folic acid and additional iron on top of your prenatals that you're taking. So, and that actually, when I started taking the additional iron, my fatigue spells actually went away. So I really haven't had but 1 fatigue spell since I was told, when I found out at 8 weeks that I was having twins, and I started taking the additional iron. I have only had one or maybe 2. I'm not really a fatigue spell, just got really tired. But I've only had 1 like bad fatigue spell since then, and it's probably just my body not like, I probably didn't take the iron, you know, every 24 hours. I probably took it like 36 hours. I don't know. But so yeah, as long as I'm taking like the extra iron, I feel so much better. And that's another thing with twins, like your body starts changing so fast. And I forgot to mention that it wasn't really a symptom, it was more of a sign when my stomach started poking out. And like at 6 weeks, my stomach was already poking out and changing, and I was not gaining any weight. My stomach was just changing for the babies. It almost felt like I felt like it looked like my uterus had grown and pushed stuff up already, because it was bulging from like top to bottom. So that was another indication that, hello, you're having twins, because my stomach was changing. Even though I wasn't gaining any weight, I was actually losing weight, but my stomach was bulging and I couldn't control it. And bloating, that was a really big sign, because I really didn't bloat with previous pregnancies until later in the pregnancy. But with this one, I was so bloated, like all day, every day for the first several weeks. So that's as far as symptoms go, up until this week, or really 9.5 weeks. So you're caught up to there. Currently I'm 10 weeks and I'm trying to catch up to 10 weeks. So the next video I put out could just be about my 11th week, because that's when I'm also going for my second ultrasound and to my high risk doctor. That's another thing with twins, you're considered high risk and you have to see 2 doctors. I have my regular doctor, and then I have my high risk doctor, and I see my regular doctor at 11 weeks, and he's gonna go over basically everything I need to know about delivery, what's going to be different and why. I already know that depending on if there's 2 placentas or 1, I'm going to either have a C-section, or I might be able to possibly have a vaginal delivery. But I am unsure as of right now what I have. I don't know if I have 1 or 2 placentas. I will find that out when I go to the high-risk doctor at the end of my 11 weeks. I go regular doctor beginning of my 11 weeks, and then my high risk the last day of my 11th week. So I will be putting out another video to update y'all on that. And that's pretty much as far as symptoms go up until about 9.5 weeks. So 9.5 weeks is actually something I really wanted to talk about with everybody, because I got terrified because something drastically changed. Another symptom that I was experiencing, which I wouldn't say really is a sign of twins, it's just more of a pregnancy symptom. I never really experienced that bad, but this time, I guess because of the twins, I experienced it more so. It was more intense. It was breast tenderness. It was overwhelmingly intense at times. And that's important because at 9.5 weeks, I noticed that had stopped. My nausea had stopped. The bloating decreased, and I started to gain weight when I ate, like a lot that day. The days I would eat a lot, I would actually start gaining and putting on weight. So almost all of my pregnancy symptoms had subsided, and I even wasn't urinating as much, and I had started gaining weight. So I was terrified that I actually had lost a twin, because it was so unusual that I would be so severe with all these symptoms all at one time and wake up one day. And it was by the second day I really started to get scared, because I had 2 days of just nothing. Like nothing was wrong. The breast tenderness had stopped. Nausea stopped. Everything had just stopped. So I was terrified. I was like, what if I lost my twin and my HCG levels were starting to decrease, and that's why this is happening? Sure enough, I freaked out for nothing, because after doing a little bit of research, and I haven't had an ultrasound since then, so I don't want to say I freaked out for nothing, but I was paranoid. But I will, be able to see my babies at my, like I said, at my visit coming up in a week, and be sure that they're both there. Sure enough, the following day, after I had a really bad breakdown, thinking I had seriously possibly lost one of my twins without like a vanishing twin syndrome kind of ordeal. And I mean, sure enough, the next day my symptoms were right back. Thankfully they were not as severe, but they were back, so that was actually a good sign. And the more I read about why these things kind of happen, I could not find anybody with like a twin situation, but some people were saying that happened to them when they had like their morning sickness, and around 9-ish weeks, it went away because their HCG levels were starting to level off. And actually turned out like a couple weeks later, it picked right back up when their HCG levels increased. So I figured that was just the case for me. So I'm more at ease now, considering that that's probably the case. And so, like I said, they came back, but thankfully they have not come back to be so severe. I did have bad nausea to the point where I finally did vomit like one time, and it was finally got the relief of, so I wasn't just nauseous all day. But so I mean, it's been up and down, some days are bad, some days are good, but it's still not as bad as what I was experiencing early on. So that was a 9-week kind of update. And now for the 10-week update, I just turned 10 weeks, so I guess it's more part of the 9-week. But it's getting worse as I get further into this week. Pubic pain has already started, like the pubic bone, the pressure causing it to be like painful when I walk, sit is already started. That is something that I did not experience until mid to late pregnancy with my previous daughter. That's something I had never experienced with any of my other pregnancies. So the pubic pain, pubic bone pain, and pelvic pain has just started too. So when I walk, it's painful. My hips and pelvis feel sharp pains. A lot of women were calling it lightning crotch, but mine's just like a dull ache in the front and sharp pelvic pain on the sides and the back. So that was something that was not very nice. Also, I don't want to say I had contractions. I'm pretty sure they felt kind of like uterine or Braxton Hicks contractions, but it's probably ligament pain has been a little bit more intense with this pregnancy as well. I mean, anything that you can experience during pregnancy, it's more intense with twins. I mean, it's what I've gathered so far with my pregnancies. Anything that you could experience with previous pregnancies, it's just more intense. And thankfully, I'm not to the point to where I have, severe vomiting nonstop to where I'm losing a bunch of weight and need to go to the hospital or anything. I mean, I've been blessed to not have that not be my case. But I mean, there are a lot of downfalls to having a twin pregnancy, and I'm learning that the hard way. But I mean, I just kind of wanted to share my symptoms with everybody because I know how everyone is unique, and even if just one or two things relate to you, having twins, I mean, I feel like this is worth sharing because, like I said, when I stopped having all my symptoms, I had a breakdown. I was terrified. I thought I lost my twin. And if I had been able to find a video of a woman talking about that same thing happening to her and her twins being just fine, I would have been put at ease. Like, I would have been so much more at ease about everything. But I couldn't really find anybody talking about that specifically within their pregnancy, or especially with twins. So that's why I feel like it's important kind of to share our stories. I mean, I never really talked about my pregnancies with my single babies because, like I said, I had it really easy. But with this, I mean, it's terrifying, and I'm really looking for all the information I can get. So I just feel kind of obligated to put out the information for anyone else who wants to hear it. Also, I know a lot of people, or not like a whole bunch, but a few people have asked me questions, and I just want to be able to answer, all at once instead of repeat myself. And plus, it's kind of fun blogging about twin pregnancies. Having twins is exciting. It's cool. It's something that I really didn't think was possible for me, and now that it is, like, I'm having twins, it's so scary because of all the higher risks of everything, but it's also so exciting. It's like, wow, how cool would it be, like, to be a twin mom? So I'm really excited, and I just kind of wanted to share that experience as well as everything else that people have been asking about, or symptoms, in case anybody else is curious about what symptoms someone with twins may experience. So I hope this video helps with you all, and I will be back to update you guys. Hopefully the video isn't as bad quality. Hopefully it's not as cut up and chopped. Still learning how to do the whole vlogging process, and I have very limited time to do this kind of thing uninterrupted. So I will be back with another video hopefully by 11, maybe 11 and a half, 12 weeks, something like that, and update you on anything new, anything. Definitely update on my doctor's visit and see like how delivery may be different, or maybe show you some ultrasound pictures of the twins from my high risk, and also with my doctor's visit about just specific things that he had mentioned to me about how really only there's really only one type of genetic testing to test the baby for both babies for Down syndrome, and how that test might possibly allow me to find out the genders early, or if I may have to wait. I don't know. I'll figure that out, and I'll make another video and update you guys. And I really hope y'all enjoyed this and didn't find me too dorky or annoying. Love y'all.